Good evening. It's been an incredible 24 hours in Windsor, Essex. As we first reported here last evening, a powerful storm ripped through the region. We can now tell you it's a confirmed tornado. In fact, the damage assessment from Environment Canada damage assessment team has just released preliminary data suggesting not one but two tornadoes touched down, at least an F1 in LaSalle and at least an F2 in Windsor. Now let's take a look at the areas where the tornadoes did the most damage. In LaSalle, along EC Road between Walker Road and Central Avenue, even some damage along Lausanne Parkway. We have full team coverage tonight of the twister and the damage left behind. As we begin in Windsor, where we're joined by CTV's Michelle Laslle.
Well, Jim, we're on Diesel Drive right now today, and as you can see, the cleanup is well underway. Right now, there are hydro trucks from Essex Power Lines as well as Integris Power out of Chatham assisting Enwin Utilities with getting hydro poles back up along this street so they can restore power over here. Enwin officials say, however, at its peak, 7,000 customers on Enwin were without power. They've greatly reduced that number at this point. Now, it did damage many homes, including about 15 on this small little quiet street. Incredibly, however, no one was seriously hurt. 3 people reporting minor injuries. But there is, as you can see, a lot of damage left over by this tornado. It came from out of nowhere.
It's a tornado! Rachel, what do we do?
And left just as quickly.
The rain was coming straight down, then all of a sudden it said it went sideways.
We got a potentially dangerous weather situation.
The tornado ripped through LaSalle and then Windsor just after 7 Wednesday night.
My lines were falling and arcing, and then I didn't know what to do because when I ran to the other part of the house, the lines were falling, but that's because the trees were all falling on the side of the house.
The house shook. You said it was like a foghorn just going off, just wham, and then that was it. She came out and it's a devastation.
I was panicking, thinking this is going right for my home, and my kids are at home alone.
Everything started hitting us.
As Deborah Andrikonis surveys what's left of her backyard, she still can't believe she only has one small scrape on her arm. Her home, however, is heavily damaged.
There's wood impaled in the back of my house. Something went flying through one of my windows and broke right through the window. Trees are all gone and back. Everything's gone.
Including power. Enwin Utilities officials say 6,800 customers lost power when the storm ripped through. Crews have been working around the clock ever since, trying to fix the wreckage.
A lot of the poles were just snapped in half, and there's, as you can see, metal hanging from a lot of the wires, so there's a lot of issues that have to be dealt with.
Enwin hopes to get all residential customers back online by midnight, but the mayor says there are about 8 businesses that could be waiting much longer. Businesses like Cowtex on Diesel Drive, the other part of the city in the tornado's path. Look at this aerial video of the Rhodes Drive Industrial Park. Whole warehouse roofs ripped off or peeled back, steel thrown across the yard like it was paper.
They're hoping to get that down to about 8 businesses that they can't really do anything with, like Cowtex, because the damage is so severe.
With the storm behind them, residents set to the arduous task of cleaning up.
I've been here 27 years, and I'll never be able to afford a cottage, so I kind of made my house to be my cottage. My house is precious to me.
But we'll put everything back together and it'll be as beautiful as it ever was.
And as the cleanup continues, a reminder from the city of Windsor, they are responsible for clearing away only trees that were on the city's right-of-way when the tree was still standing. If that tree was on your property, it's your responsibility to get a crew in to clear it away. Also, the WDS property in Windsor, not far from here, was also heavily damaged by the storm. They also lost power. As a result, garbage and recycling collection has been postponed by 1 day out in the county. We're told it will resume tomorrow. Jim, just to reiterate, Environment Canada initially now saying that it was at least an F1 tornado that landed in LaSalle and at least an F2 that landed here in Windsor.
The light of day showing us remarkable damage, particularly in that industrial park. All right, Michelle Laslle begins our coverage tonight. Now, parts of LaSalle also witnessed extensive damage in last evening's tornado. Witnesses telling of seeing the storm rip through sections of Victory Street, as well as parts of Jolly Avenue, along with Island View Marina. Melissa Nakavali has returned from LaSalle and joins us now with more on this damaging storm.
Well, Jim, what a difference a few hours can make. Officials in LaSalle have been working around the clock cleaning up areas I walked through after the tornado hit last night. And while officials are calling the damage extensive, many say it could have been much worse. This video shows the moment the tornado touched down in LaSalle.
If there was a time in my life where I was going to be scared, that would have been the time.
Leaving this site in its tracks. Debris, tree limbs, and people's belongings scattered everywhere.
It was the scariest thing I've ever been through in my whole life.
Due to winds so strong, they even blew the roof off a couple of houses. A shock for this resident who witnessed his home being ripped to shreds.
Tornado had come in through here, wiped out the house. We didn't have much time to think about it. They wiped out the house completely.
Many say time was of the essence. Some residents say they didn't have time to take cover as they scrambled to find shelter.
That is absolutely a tornado.
Witnesses described the tornado's speed as being so fast that if you blinked, you wouldn't have known what hit you.
It was something that out of a movie, and people walking around sort of in shock.
Town officials say power was shut down as a precaution, with crews working diligently throughout the night. LaSalle Mayor Ken Antea says they managed to open the roads and restore power by around midnight.
We're happy that all of the precautions that we take for such an event has been adhered to, and everybody seems to have carried out their job as planned.
Still, cleanup efforts continue today. Antea says town officials are making themselves available to help with the aftermath.
We're assisting the individual property owners with assessing the damage on their property.
I don't know where half our stuff is. It's just a disaster area.
While the tornado could have been much worse, many residents say it's time to put this disaster behind them as many look to rebuild their communities. And how long that rebuild will take is another question. Mayor Antea suspects the cleanup will continue for many more days. At least 2 families have not been able to return home, and many more homes sustained tornado damage. The town is also making its resources available, and public works staff will clear away branches and trees if residents require more support. Jim.
I remember you dropping what you were doing and being called out last night when we realized the full extent of this. Melissa Nakavali joining us tonight. Melissa, thank you. Now, the day after, here's a look at satellite radar of Windsor, Essex as the tornado moved into the region. You'll see here how massive the storm system is. The area in red signifies the tornado as it comes inland from the Detroit River, where it whipped up. As soon as it hits the town of LaSalle, the tornado appears to grow in size. Environment Canada says a second twister touches down near EC Row Expressway between Walker Road and Central Avenue, where most of the significant damage happened. You may also notice here flashes of gray. We're told those are lightning strikes. An assessment team from Environment Canada and the University of Western Ontario quickly surveyed the damage in both the city and in LaSalle this afternoon. A preliminary look. Team leader Mitch Meredith telling CTV News they're still working on finding out just how rapidly this tornado developed and hit our region.
We're looking at damage to structures and property, and we are going to be doing rating of the damage to see if we can understand what the peak wind speeds were with the storm, and also to understand the timing.
And this is the water cooler talk the day after. Would a public warning system have worked during these 2 devastating tornadoes? A question many residents are now asking tonight. Our Sasha Long joins us to discuss the topic.
Well, Jim, anywhere you go today,